All right, mic'd up, Francesa on the Fan Yes Network, coming to you from the Convention Center here in Fort Lauderdale. This portion of the program brought to you by Metro PCS, by Hyundai, by Frank's Red Hot, and the Queens Long Island Medical Group. All those fine establishments and companies bring you this portion of the program as we welcome in Tiki Barber. Tiki, welcome. How are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. How's everything?
I can't complain at all. Yourself?
Yeah, good. What are you doing? Are you working this Super Bowl? Or are you just hanging out?
I'm down here with Yahoo doing some things for the pregame shows and also just to talk. You know, you've been down here on Media Row. This place is quiet today.
Yes.
But it's going to get insane as the week goes on and players in and out of here. It kind of it has a character all its own over here.
Do you miss you were a guy it seemed like was probably as well set up as anyone not to miss the football.
Yeah.
Did you miss? You got out on top, which is rare. You got it with your senses, which is rare. Do you miss it? Did you leave too early?
No, I didn't. I think I left right at the right time for me, Mike. You know that I had a ton of other interests outside of the game of football, and quite honestly, those other opportunities were calling my name. And, you know, it's all about timing. And people will point to the fact that the Giants won the Super Bowl the year after, and I missed out on that opportunity. But who knows if the things that I'm doing now would have been there if I would have waited.
Do you feel you missed something by them by being part of that ride?
Maybe, but it's not something I'm focused on. It's not something I ever look back on. I know that, yeah, would it have been nice to do something my brother did? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's nothing I can do about it. I made a decision and I live with it, and I'm completely fine with it. It's interesting. I think a lot of people on the outside aren't fine with it, and they constantly bring it up and constantly think that I have emotions that I don't necessarily have concerning the Giants. I have a lot of respect for that organization. I think they had a great season in 2007, and I'm proud of a lot of the guys.
There's a feeling with the fans, and it's something that I don't know that it's important for you or not to clear up, but there's this feeling with the fans that you and the Giants didn't leave on the greatest, in the greatest way or on the greatest terms, and that wasn't a seamless thing.
Well,
so
it doesn't have to be seamless.
Right,
I mean, you expect it to be because of what I did as a New York Giant player and how good I was. But I mean, you know me, Mike. I've never been shy to be outspoken.
Right.
And things that I said in my new job as a broadcast journalist and an analyst is nothing that I didn't say while I was actually on the team.
That's for sure.
And so it's to me it's a lot to do about nothing in people's minds. Yet they still have the right and to have their opinions and to be upset. And here's an interesting thing, because I've been traveling to some of the games, the Giants games, and I've been in the stadium and seen some of the fans, and most people will say, I booed you when you came, or when they show your video on
highlight. A lot of people said that they booed you.
Yeah, of course. But when I see them in person,
they like you.
They not only they like me, they say, I don't know why I booed you. And so it's an interesting phenomenon that exists with Giants fans, and it's what makes them great. It's what makes them interesting and so dynamic, and quite honestly, why I love playing with the New York Giants for so many years, because you never knew.
You had one of the more unique careers I can ever remember, because rarely does a player come in on one level as one player, a situational back.
Yeah.
Okay, who then becomes a running back, who then has trouble fumbling the football, and then becomes a great player. Yeah. I mean, your 3 seasons at the end were as good as Daniel Tomlinson's seasons. I mean, those were great. You became a great player. That's a very unusual thing to have happen.
Well, I evolved a lot, and I tried to get better and better every year. And I was never shy to take criticism, because I knew that I could learn something from it. And, the path of my career, I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't want it to be any different. I think I wouldn't have appreciated if I would have had success early, and I think if I had fallen down at the end of my career and gone out at the bottom as opposed to on the top, I wouldn't have felt fulfilled. But I knew that I left the game on my terms, which you rarely get. You even look at a guy like LaDainian Tomlinson.
Right, he has not left on his terms.
The greatest backs in our decade, and he's not leaving on his terms.
Not at all.
He's going to get
pushed out. Most guys don't.
The same thing happened to Sean Alexander.
Most guys don't.
He's like rushing title one year,
Absolutely.
and he's gone the next. And I didn't want that to happen to me. And yes,
running backs have they have very short careers and cruel careers.
Yes, because it takes a toll physically. I mean, you talk about mortgaging your future physically. Right. The running back position is probably the one where it does it the most, because of the constant impact, not just on the running plays, but every play.
You've been brought up a lot as everyone watches Peterson fumble and says, hey, they got to send him to Tiki. I even said they got to send him to the Tiki school. Okay?
You know what's funny?
It's funny you say this, I said I'd send Tiki over to talk to him.
You know what's funny? I did an interview. I can't remember what it was for, but I was talking to this radio station down in North Carolina. They said, did you know that the University of North Carolina teaches the Tiki method? And I said, you got to be kidding me.
Well, but that's right. I mean, listen, you changed. You became a guy who never fumbled from a guy who was a guy who fumbled a lot. Peterson is a great back who fumbles a lot.
You know what? He's becoming a liability for his team. You look at that NFC
How does he change?
Game. It's all mechanics, Mike. I mean, it's the same thing I had to learn. You do something one way for so long, you get away with it, you don't think it's a problem. But once you get in the National Football League, and everybody, safeties, linebackers, defensive linemen, they're all taught to strip. If you have any kind of looseness in that football, it's going to come out. For me, it was just keeping it next to my body at all times, no matter what it takes, whether it's down here close to your body, up at your chest close to your body. You have to keep it on your body so you can't get so it can't get knocked away. And then when you go into contact, cover it with the other hand. And it was simple. Most things that cause success are simple. And I think with Adrian Peterson, he needs somebody with authority, with a strong voice to tell him, look, as great as a player as you are, you're a liability. And that's what Tom Coughlin did for me. He said, Tiki, I love the way you play the game of football, but you fumble and you're a liability. It hits your pride in a way that makes you want to correct it. And I don't think anybody's done that for Adrian Peterson yet.
And, you know, it's a funny thing. Everyone talks about Tiki was so hard on Tom Coughlin. I mean, listen, you saved Tom's career. If you don't have that game against the Redskins that night, Tom's getting fired. I mean, Ernie, of course, he basically said it in his book. He was firing Tom. You had one of the great nights anyone ever had. It was a virtuoso performance against running left against the Redskins that night for 250 some odd yards. I mean, that was a great performance.
It was. And Tom and I had, you know, one of these love-hate relationships. And that's, you know, honestly, I think that's why we both turned out, had such great seasons, mainly because we had success, respect for each other, and we forced the best out of one of another. Yeah, sometimes those are the most contentious, and you end up not liking each other at the end of the day. But I can tell you this: I guarantee you, Tom Coughlin respects me as a player, and I guarantee you, I respect him as a coach because he is a very good coach. And with me, my issue with him was just how he treated the players, and he changed in that, and you saw what happened.
I heard Amani on the other day, and it's funny. He opened up, and I've heard him do this before, and he has more than anybody else. He won that Super Bowl, obviously, with the Giants when you were gone, and it was important.